I don't believe it. Look at that. This is a row of articulated verts. Morning everyone, welcome back to another fossil hunting video. In today's video I thought I'd do a bit of a different walk. I'm going to head past Whitby Abbey over there in the distance. Head down the 199 steps at Whitby and walk back along the beach underneath the cliffs and see if anything decent has dropped out, what I can find. Remember guys, if you are new to my YouTube channel, please consider hitting that subscribe button so you can see my future fossil hunts and future finds. There in the distance you can see Sand's End over there, and behind it there's kettle nests. Okay guys, so you can see now we're at the Abbey. Absolutely stunning looking building, really interesting history behind it. You can see all of Whitby town. So in my bag I've put one of my favourite ever ammonite finds. It's a really beautiful specimen and I'm going to show you it later on in the day, maybe when the sun comes out a little bit more. How many years old do you think that is? A few more views of the Abbey. I always find this graveyard absolutely fascinating. If you look at some of the gravestones and the weathering on them, it just makes you wonder how old they actually are. Last week I was reading up on it and apparently there's a grave with the name Humpty Dumpty on it, and it's not the egg and it's not where the nursery rhyme came from. Apparently it was an old cannon on the seawall. I'm not quite sure why they buried it and why it's got its own grave, but a bit of interesting history for you. I'm not quite sure whereabouts it is. Apparently it's in a cage or behind bars somewhere. So there you go. This is pretty fascinating. Apparently when they used to carry the coffins up the stairs, even though a lot of people now sit on it as a bench, this is where they used to rest coffins to get 5 minutes break. So yeah, as you've probably gathered, I'm now at the steps, so I'm gonna walk down the steps and then onto the beach below, and then I'm going to be going right back over that way. And you can probably tell I've planned this fossil hunt to be early morning, because come 9-10 o'clock these steps will be absolutely packed full of people, like it always is. So it's lovely just to see it when it's deserted like it is now. I was reading up a few years ago, and apparently there was a landslide and some coffins fell down from the graveyard on top into people's gardens, and apparently people found bones in the garden at the bottom of the cliffs. I'm guessing that's why they've reinforced it all now. There's some fantastic shops in Whitby. My favourite is probably Byron's, Natural Wonders. Some fantastic fossils in there. If you're ever up, I highly recommend having a look in there. You're not going to believe that. That looks like bone. What? I don't believe it. Look at that. Looks like I've just found ichthyosaur bone. Literally just washed up here. How crazy is that? Well, that's a good sign anyway. So that just goes to show, for all you who moan about never being able to find bone, literally at the bottom of the steps. I mean, imagine how many people walk here every single day. It's crazy. That's a vert, by the way. Assuming they're little paddle digits on the side of it. You can see it's the very centre there. But to be honest, I cannot believe that. right at the bottom of the steps. I know I didn't plant it there before anyone accuses me of it. That was literally pot luck. So to be honest, this little bit of the beach, I think I've only ever been on it once, and it was years and years ago when I was a little kid. Beach tends to get overpicked really easily, especially in the summer months when there's people visiting from all over. I've noticed there's a few people in front of me, so I'm guessing the best chance I've got at finding something else will be to get amongst the rocks and carefully look to see if I can spot any ammonites. There was one inside there, but someone's tapped it. So as you might know, Whitby is famous for Whitby jet, and there seems to be a fair few bits washed up around here. So it's always worth keeping your eye out, just in case you ever spot any. I think the main trouble that I'm going to have today is, you can see it's totally sanded over, and I'm assuming the sand is covering all the good fossils, so it might just be more of a walk rather than a fossil hunt, but I guess we never know, so I'll see how it goes. Remember guys, if you are enjoying my fossil hunting videos, please consider hitting that subscribe button and giving this video a thumbs up so you can see my future fossil hunts. Thanks. Again, there's a few bits and bobs pushed up right against the cliffs, but it mostly looks like sandstone, and if you look above your head, that is so dodgy, definitely not worth even attempting to have a look underneath there. If any of these sandstone slabs or any nodules in general decided to come down on you, you'd have no chance. I guess it's probably going to be worth having a look in this little crevice to see if there's anything washed up. Again, there's a few little whorls, ammonite whorls. There we go, that's an ammonite, I think. In fact, never mind, it's not. That's a really big rock. How long do you reckon that's been down on the beach for? Okay guys, so I've just been having a look at that one piece of bone, and it's an ichthyosaur vert, and these top bits, which I originally said were paddle digits, they're not. It's part of the neural arch, and it would have gone up here. The ribs would have probably come off here, maybe, or around here, so it would have stood up that way. But again, a really cool find. I was not expecting to find something right on the beach where the steps are. That's pretty amazing. It makes you wonder what else gets washed up, what other people just walk straight past. Here we are guys, so this is the type of thing you want to be looking for. You can see there's a worn ammonite in there. That's the edge, and it's been wearing out of this nodule for a while, probably been rolling around in the sea. That could be an interesting looking nodule. Oh, it's definitely worth tapping, I think, because you just never know. Looks like a good shape. I guess the only trouble that I'm already noticing with this nodule is it's totally full of pyrite, so it might be a little bit too hard to open, but I'm going to give it a go and see if there's anything inside and if I can actually get it open. I'm going to give up. Sorry. That could be interesting, you see. I think that's sea coal by the look of it. It doesn't feel like jet, it feels like sea coal. If you are planning on coming and doing this Whitby walk across the beach, either just to look for fossils or just because you want to dog walk or just enjoy the scenery, I highly recommend you get a decent pair of shoes. Definitely don't come in your flip-flops in the summer months, because it's absolutely full of these little, I don't know whether you can make it out, gaps and over here I'm pretty sure it's just seaweed straight over here, and you'll be slipping all over the place. So this is that shipwreck which I was showing you right up from the cliffs behind me. So I've walked right on top of there, right round, and then up here. So I'll get a closer look at it if anyone's interested. So it's a big old thing. I have looked it up in the past, but I've forgotten all of the information. So I'm not going to just make up a date because there's no point. I know for a fact that it's older than the one at Saltwick Bay, because I believe that is the 70s or the 80s over that way. It would have been a huge ship. I almost forgot, I promised you that I would show you my favourite ammonite find that I have brought with me from home, which I found on a previous trip. So here it is, fully prepared. It's a stunning Phylloceras ammonite, which is quite an uncommon find on the Yorkshire coast. Here it is. If you look closely, you can see stunning sutures, which is the leaf-like pattern which grew underneath the shell. If you look closely towards the middle, the golden lines are actually bits of pyrite, which I find makes the piece even more interesting. I think it's an absolutely stunning piece, and it's definitely one of my favourite ammonites. Here we are, guys. If you look underneath this rock here, you might just be able to spot the ammonite. Here we go. Alright, it's a very poor one. Very, very poor. This is a big chunk of pyrite. I'm going to give this a tap with a hammer because I'm curious about what's inside. It almost looks like ammonite chambers there. Get a close up. Maybe it's just odd pyrite. Either way, I'm going to give it a tap because you've got nothing to lose. It is the chamber of a Phylloceras ammonite, a really big one. Cut myself. It's been a fantastic walk anyway, and the best bit about it, it's not rained one little bit. Here we go, here's an ammonite. Right then, I'm at the very last little bit now, so I'm going to give it a good look over in all the little nooks and crannies, see if any nice ammonites have rolled in. You can see one wearing out there in the bedrock. Again, I'm not going to dig it out because you're not supposed to dig into the bedrock. Actually, there's another piece there as well. You see the end poking out? Big old bit of metal. I'd have a guess that it's part of the shipwreck, what I've showed you earlier. Probably washed up this way. Here's a good example of how you might find ammonite nodules. You can see the top of one poking out here, and most likely the rest of it will be inside the rock. That's a big crab. He's only got one arm, the poor bugger. Right then guys, that's about it for today's video. Hopefully you enjoyed it and you enjoyed coming along for the walk. Not too many finds, but I was really pleased with that vert which I found right at the steps towards Whitby. Now I'm going to show you a really nice find which I found on this stretch of the beach in another fossil hunt. Morning guys, I'm back on the beach again and I've just found something which looks really good, and I'm sure it will be. So as you can see, it looked like just a normal rock, one of many which are on the beach here. But when I flipped it over, first of all I saw this, and it's a vert. If I can get you closer, you can see little nibbles there coming up the top. And then I looked at the other side and there's a vert there poking up. So this is a row of articulated verts. Judging by the size, they're really quite small. So I'd say there's a good few in there, maybe what, 6 or 7? That's just an estimate, but I think that's going to be a really good find. Well pleased with that. Remember guys, hit the like button, subscribe to see more of my fossil hunts. If you want to see more of my fossil hunting videos, there should be a playlist popping up now that you can click and watch more of my fossil collection and fossil finds. Thanks.